the founder and CEO of Dare to Be a Badass. She has an amazing, successful business, and she has written many, many books. And I know we're featuring her Dare to Be a Badass, but she actually has been an author, teacher, speaker for quite a few years. She'll be sharing that with us. So without further ado, I am going to ask you a few questions, Pamela, but welcome to our Synergy call. So nice to have you.
Thank you. This is fun and exciting.
Great. All right. So you started out, Pam, as a teacher, working junior high school and high school students. You certainly had a front row seat to these challenges and struggled, I imagine, through a tumultuous period in adolescence life. Can you tell us a little bit about your career as a teacher?
I actually didn't start with junior high and high school. I started with kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
Fresh out of college. Actually, I wasn't even graduated from college, and they hired me to work with kindergartners. Absolutely fell in love with the little guys in there that love everything you do. And then I remember praying and saying, God, I will continue to teach for you, because I was hired as a principal. But the only age I don't want to work with is the junior hires. And that is where I lived for, let's see, my teaching career was 38 years. I spent 20 of those years with junior high and high schoolers. So what I have always said that I love about junior hires, love and hate, is that they will call you out on any flaw you have. And so you learn to be transparent, and you learn to clean up your attitude and your thinking, because they'll point it out and make sure. So I fell in love with that age group and stayed there. God knew better than I did where it was that I needed to be. But what started happening, I was the principal of a Christian school here locally. It was a small, only 120 students, small school. But God called me home. And I was kind of surprised, because we needed 2 incomes. But there comes a point where you know too much to not do what it is you're being told. So I kept hedging at it. I ended up getting really sick with Giardia, which put me flat on my back for 6 weeks. And during that time, it was when all I could do was lay on my back and stare at the ceiling, is when I realized that what God wanted me to do was where I needed to be. Fell in love with the sunshine going through my living room window, on the carpet, on the floor, and the cat walking on the back of the couch, and the kids being home and stuff. And he called me at that point to homeschool our kids. So we started homeschooling. I left the school. The administrators were not real happy about that, but I explained to them, you've got to let me go. I've been called to be home full time. So that's what I did, was I came home and started homeschooling our kids. As the kids got a little bit older, other families that were homeschooling started saying to me, could you school my child? Could you work with my child? And that's kind of how things started going. And before long, I had 6 kids besides my own. And I was really enjoying what I was doing, using my skills really well, and went to bed one night, and God woke me up and said, you're going to build a school, and you're going to call it TREC, TREC. And I thought, God, you spelled that wrong. And he said, no, TREC is taking responsibility for educational choices. And I thought, I don't have any money. And at the time, we lived in a little tiny place. Well, long story short, he reorchestrated that. And we ended up having an 1,880 square foot home on 10 acres with a creek running through it, and huge property and ability. And so I started schooling them in the dining room. And then God said, no, we're going to build a school. And I thought, I don't have any money. And I say we, I physically did it, but God built the school, $80,000 building, 1,450 square foot on the end of our home, and paid for the whole thing every step of the way. He'd bring parents to me who said, hey, I've got this. Do you need it? Can you use it? And then those people would begin to, they framed it, they put windows in, trusses, the roofing. I had a dad that said, I'll orchestrate all of this, but I can't afford to pay you to school my daughter. So can we trade? Which is what we did. And people said, you'll never be able to build it in time. We started this in May and we opened the doors September 9th. And Trek has run for 20 years until I closed the school in 2015. And that was because I had made a promise to my next door neighbor that he would never have to go to the hospital. He would never have to die at home alone, that we would all be together. And he got sick and we took care of him. Rick and I took care of him until he passed away in July of 2016. So the thing that happened to me with the schooling, this is a long-winded story to answer your question, but what happened was that I saw these teens struggling with things, that when I started equipping them with skills, they were soaring. These kids that the principals had sent me because they were falling between the cracks or they were bored silly in school, just started excelling all over the place. But I was having meetings, every Tuesday night we had a meeting going on, and the parents, it broke my heart because they both had to work. They never had any time to do anything with the family. They were saying, what's wrong with my teen? And I was thinking, the problem is that they lack connection with the parents, and these were good parents. And so I started doing parenting classes from there. And sometimes that was simply that they just needed maybe a math skill to get a promotion where they were working. Some of them really just wanted to be at home and they had skills and talents. And so I started helping them build businesses. I told them, said, look, I've been surviving, all these years as an entrepreneur, you can too. And I haven't left my home. Years ago, when I was 19, God called me and said I was going to go in the mission field, but I was never leaving my own backyard. And I thought, what? Missionaries go. And he said, no, you're never going to leave your own backyard. I'm going to bring them to you. And he's been true to it. Trek was filled with 25, 26 students every year until the last year when he made it clear to me that I was going to be closing the school, which I was disappointed, but I also know the best way to survive and live your life is in the pathway of following what it is that he has for you. So that's Trek, and it just evolved into the phase 2 of the business was Dare to be a Badass.
Just inspiring to hear, Pam, that you were just so dedicated and disciplined to what you were called to do, and you changed so many lives. I mean, you think of the parents and the children that you were involved with in your school, and helping them thrive and go on to soar and do greater things, as well as during your years as a principal of the school that you had left. So what an amazing story of doing that, homeschooling your children. I homeschooled my sons and my nephew in their earlier years till 4th grade. And so I can't even imagine doing it past that, but I enjoyed it when I did. So thank you for what you've done to accomplish that. It's amazing. Let's talk a little bit about, I know you and I have talked about work-life balance and things that as entrepreneurs, that's a oxymoron, I'm not so sure, but I like to think that, we try to make sure that we take time for ourselves, our family, and our businesses. And can you share a little bit of what you do to try to achieve balance in your life and your business?
Well, I live by this list, this weekly planner here on my desk. And every time something comes up, I try to get it on the weekly planner so that I know that I don't have too much on one day and not enough on another day. Try to balance it out. I try to keep really strong boundaries. I have a rule. Carly knows this rule. I've been trying to teach it to her. No crap before 9 o'clock is the rule. And the reason is, that's right. The reason is that I need time to drink my coffee. I need to check in with my husband. I need to read my Bible and I'm a slow waker upper in the morning. I need that time to just kind of move. Otherwise, I'm a grump all day long. It's like, don't talk to me. Well, you can't do that when you own your own business. And And then I need to work out. So I need to get the blood flowing. I need a shower and stuff. So that's why I just made this hard, fast rule that I do nothing business-wise before 9 o'clock. I take care of me. I take care of my household, and just try to get the blood flowing. That seems to really help me. But I also have hard, fast rule. Unless, and the rule says, unless you're on fire or bleeding, don't talk business to me from noon on Friday till 9 o'clock Monday morning. Now that hard lesson was the hardest one for me to learn, because when you work at home, it's so easy to go, well, I'll just take care of this one thing. And before you know it, your behind's been in this chair in front of a computer for the next 6 hours. I know when I was finishing up Dare to Be a Badass, I've already been chewed out by Cindy about this. I was spending 15 hours a day editing and making sure that it was what it was supposed to be. So just having those hard boundaries around my work, and then keeping my life in balance. Right now, we're in a new transition because Rick doesn't go to work until later, which means sometimes I don't start work until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which means I'm still working at 11:30 at night. But then all the stuff I used to do at night got flipped into in the morning. So the laundry's going, the dishes going, stuff like that. But I do live on 10 acres and I wear a Fitbit, and at 90 minutes, it goes off to remind me to get up and move. And I go outside. I've got a dog, the CEO, she's laying on the floor behind me here. I take her out. We go sit by the koi pond, or we walk to the creek, and just trying to remember to do that. Today, I wasn't super successful at that because it was one of those days where there was 15 fires coming at me at once. But I did finally walk away mid-afternoon today, and then just spend some time sitting down with Rick, and then, eating, which is not, sometimes that gets pushed to the back burner when you're running your own business. So for me, it's practicing the boundaries that I've set down for myself.
I'm proud of you for that. I know we have talked about the hours when you're editing the book. And I know you have a wonderful group every week that Carly's a part of, and I am as well, and so many amazing women that I've met through your group with the round table. And I know the book Dare to Be a Badass is something that, the website and the name has been out there for a while, but for you to take the step to actually create the book, and the 52 life hacks that you have written in there are just so amazing. And I'll show many of you here. This is an amazing book. And I'll be sharing with you how to get your own copy of it. And you can even elect to get a signed copy, as I did. So I'll be sharing some information about this book. But I know you're very close to your family, and you actually married your high school sweetheart that Brenda and I both knew in Hawaii. So I thought that was pretty cool. And you have 2 amazing children. So do you want to talk a little bit about your family?
Oh, always love to talk about my family. Yes, I met Rick the first day of freshman year. And fun story, we wore muumuus back then in Hawaii, and I had a ruffle. I had made my own. I had a ruffle on the bottom of my dress because it was a little too short on my ankles, so I made it a little bit longer and had a pin stuck in it. And we had a courtyard there in the school, just a square. Our building was square, 4 floors high, and an open courtyard in the middle. And us girls were down at the bottom. The guys were all lining the side, and I put my foot up on a bench, pulled my skirt up and pulled the pin out, and heard a whistle. Whipped around to see who it was. Well, there was about 8 or 9 guys that hung out together. They had said, they goaded one of the guys to do that. And they all turned around when he whistled, except Rick. And so I turned around, and of course, being freshman, and I was like, I'm offended, kind of thing. But he came to my house to apologize for that. And we have been going steady, engaged or married since then. We got married right after I graduated from college. That was his commitment to my dad, was that he said, my dad asked him, would you wait till she graduates from college? Because I'm afraid she won't finish. And so I graduated June 10th, and we got married August 12th, and been together since 1977. It's so weird when you start talking about stuff like that, you know, that Rick and I have been together for 50 years, married for 44. It's just crazy.
Incredible.
And along came 2 babies, and we are also super tight that the school building I told you about that was built on the end of the house is where my daughter and her partner live. And my son lives across the yard. In the gentleman I told you we took care of him, his house is across the yard. And when he passed away, my husband moved him into there, supposedly for help on the property, but he's not quite the landscaper we thought he might be. But he built that apartment next door for the girls. So, and they are, like I said, we homeschooled them. Jennifer is trained in the law field. She went to law school. She is currently managing multi-million-dollar properties. And our son went for graphic design. He is phenomenal at building websites, but he just opened up a brand new business called Wildcat Mountain Woodworking. He loves working with his hands. He's very much a hands-on kid, always has been. After spending successful years on the computers, he said, "Mom, I'm just really tired of sitting behind a computer so many hours a day." And so I told him, I said, "Hey, I'll help you get started." And he started his first business, and it didn't quite catch on. And now he's done this, and he's phenomenally good at what he's doing. He's been opened a week, and he's already making sales that will generate him over $1,000 in the first week. So on a monthly basis, real excited about that.
Absolutely. You know, you're a proud mama, as you should be.
Yes.
I think you've done a great job raising them. I can't wait till I get to Oregon and meet them one day.
That's for sure. And
I can
hopefully
tell them stories.
Hopefully I'll be out of this room and back in my old office, and you'll have a place to sleep uninterrupted.
I hope so as well. That'll be so wonderful. So Dare to be a Badass, and turning it into the book that you have. You know, I love a lot of the information you shared between your websites and between you and I talking. But you state women are unique warriors. You know, they're created to care for the families, businesses, communities, and nations, that we can, without each other, become battle weary. But when women armed with the right tools and support, we're unstoppable as influencers in the world that needs to be positive, dependable, and we need to be world changers. You truly are an influencer, Pam, to myself, to those that are around you, and those that are going to learn more about you through your latest book. Is this the reason that you wrote Dare to be a Badass? Is that what called you to do that? And my thought with that would be, how might we as women pick up the sword and best support each other?
So I think that Dare to be a Badass comes in on 2 places. One is that I like to practice Titus 2, where it says, you know, the older women are to teach the younger women. The problem is that a lot of times the younger women don't want to hear it. And it's not because they are rude or mean or, you know, don't want to hear from us. It's simply that they are so busy trying to survive. They are running Mach 2 with their hair on fire. And I am a strong believer of a home-based business. If you can do it from home, you can, in between meetings, run and do a load of laundry, throw the food in the crock pot, you know, let the dog out, that kind of thing. And that's what I love about a home-based business. What I discovered when I was teaching these classes on how to build your business, how to find your name, how to find your niche, you know, I mean, I was going through all of this with all my clients. What they lacked was the courage, the confidence. And so Dare to be a Badass came around because I spent most of my time saying, yes, you can do this, you can do this. And then they were like, well, how do I do this? So the answer to how do I do this and what's my purpose is Dare to be a Badass. I started writing Dare to be a Badass. Now, it was originally called something else, but I got to tell you that the people that were following me were 50 years old and older. That was not the crew I was reaching for. I'm not to say that I'm not good for them, because I have clients that are older than, you know, that are 50 plus years old. But my heart breaks for the younger women who are juggling so many balls, so much worse and harder than it ever was for me. And I thought I was juggling a lot of balls, and I see what they're going through now. I mean, good grief, just with COVID that's happened, they're trying to do their jobs at home and they're trying to teach their kids at home. They're balancing, should I let my kids see other kids or not? You know, are they going to get COVID, or what should we do? Should we stay away from our parents? I mean, good grief, there's been a bazillion decisions that have to be made. But what I found is if the structure of the center of you is strong, and you know who you are, you know your talents, you know your skills, you know your gifting, you know, even if you're an introvert or an extrovert, if you know those things and your energy levels, then you can actually discover what your purpose is and then go at it full bore. And everything falls in line when you know all of those things. So I worry about the younger women because of the world they live in today. And so what I started doing was pulling in older women to give us wisdom for the younger women and for the younger women to see that older women are doing it and how they survived with a lot of things. So it's an excellent synergy together. But again, I'm an advocate for being, I think that the best way to protect our teens is for there to be somebody home. Because everybody thinks, you know, well, once they're teens, they're independent, they don't need us. Not so. They need us triple than when they needed us when they were 5 and 6 years old. And so we are the gatekeepers, and we're the ones that keep the wheel rolling around here. And I remember catching my kids doing things simply because I was here. You know, they come through. The first time somebody decided to step outside the line, I was like, excuse me, sit down, let's talk. And I know when they went through emotional things, they had different ways of doing it. Jennifer sings like an angel, and she would sing out her bedroom window. And I thought, I need to be listening to something that's going on. Brad would play basketball to the point of bruising his wrist from slam dunking the ball. And I would sit out there and say, okay, talk to me. He'd be like, Mom, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. So then his big thing was Taco Bell. So we'd go to Taco Bell at midnight, blast the music in the car, and he'd say, I'm not going to talk about it. Okay. I'm not going to talk about it, Mom. Okay. But we just crank the music up and drive. And sometimes I would have to drive, I don't know, 75 miles to get him to talk. But he knew eventually that Mom wasn't driving home until he started talking. But that was because I was home and I saw it. Now, I'm not bashing women that have to work away from home. I'm just saying that if you have a choice and you can do this, I'm here to help you build the courage to find the skills so you can do this. And also I like when women are working to not have to pinch the pennies. I want to see them make a good living at what they're doing. I've had clients, I think I shared with you, Cindy, I had that one client that was making like $19,000 a year. And I thought, you can't keep doing that. And once I sat her down and got her organized and just give her some tools and equipment, she started making 6 figures. In fact, her CPA called me and said, what the heck did you do with her? Because I want to know what's going on. I want to do the same kinds of things. So.
Awesome, Pam. And I know you support home-based businesses, which we are obviously, it's very close, near and dear to our hearts. And the reason we started Regenrus to give opportunities to those that choose to start a home-based business or be partnered with us through our Regenrus Shares program is to allow them choice and the ability to make a full-time income while they're home and still putting the priorities in place of, you know, their families and self-care and others. So I really love what you're doing and helping so many of your clients be able to, you know, have the courage and success by having a home-based business. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And
can I brag on Regenrus?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
So, and I can tell you one of the reasons why, you know, besides our friendship from when we were younger, when you first told me about it, I vetted you like nobody's business. I hate to say that, but I went through every page on the website. I went through every herb, every, you know, organic product that you're using and stuff like that, because I know people listen to me, and I want to know who it is I'm recommending, which is why I don't recommend very many things. I want to know why they're doing what they're doing and what it is that they're doing. The other thing is I have a real heart for when you give back and the things that you're doing to give back. I am so excited that my last purchase supporting that no kill shelter. I had no idea that that was the one up for the month. I think I had an idea, but when my stuff came in and the note was in there that said your money support, I was like, yes, I'm going to keep that, because, you know, I'm a strong advocate of rescues. As such, the boss laying on the floor behind me that has a bed in every room of the house. That was the thing that I was excited about. But the other thing is that I want to talk about just what it's doing for me. But first, I want to talk about when women don't feel good, they cannot be their best. And I'm talking to women all the time that they've got this skin condition, you know, they are tired, they don't feel good, that kind of thing. I have been working, oh gosh, I don't know how long I've been working to try and I have acid reflux. And this is not inconvenient. This is debilitating for me. I have been through the testing and stuff, and they say I don't have a hiatal hernia, which was their guess. I don't have all these other things. And so I was put on Prilosec, and I double checked this, Cindy. I went back and looked, and because we just saw our family physician, he put me on Nexium 19 years ago.
Wow.
I thought it was more than that, but it was 19 years ago, putting me on Nexium. And then I stepped down to Prilosec because I thought, well, Nexium covers the symptoms so well that I'm not making any life changes with my eating. So I stepped down to Prilosec so that I would actually feel the acid reflux once in a while. Well, then I was told, if you feel it, it's too late. You're burning your esophagus and stuff. I ended up losing my voice for a month because it had burned my esophagus. Okay, so then I start hearing all kinds of things about what these medications are doing to me. I had no idea. Wouldn't you think if every time you go into the doctor for a physical, they say, are you still taking the Prilosec? Yes. Are you taking your estrogen? Yes. You know, anything else? Well, these vitamins. Wouldn't you think at that point a doctor would say, are you aware of the side effects of this? We got to get you off of this. You've been on it way too long. Well, 19 years has slipped by. And all of a sudden I started thinking, you know what scared me? The dementia that happens from antacids and kidney disease. So I started taking the herbs. I was working with a nutritionist, and she was giving me, you know, all kinds of things. I swear I rattle when I walk. There were so many herbs I was taking. And then Cindy starts telling me about it. And I thought, I'm going to research. So I'm looking at all the ingredients thinking, oh, I know what all these ingredients are because I've been researching it for so long.
The reason Brenda and I started with Regenrus, and Jessica, that hopefully you can see too, is my niece, Brenda's daughter. It's so nice to see the lives we're changing. I'm just so excited about that. And when I hear the stories, it just, my heart that, you know, one, that thank you for listening to me and doing your research and willingness to try it and be compliant. I think that's the most important message here. If it's sitting in the bottle on your desk or in your cupboard, it's not going to work. And if you take it like every, 3 or 4 days, it's not going to work. It needs to build up in your system. It's natural. It's non-toxic. So this is different. It's not a quick remedy that has harmful side effects like a drug. So important to know that. But Pam, thank you for sharing that story.
Yes.
We're so glad to partner with you.
Me too. You should know that I read all the ingredients off to my nutritionist, and she said, hang on to that.